Hi, this is Shayna, the artist and creator of Team Jesse Art and Comics. In this speed draw, we're making the Warforged wannabe samurai Hei Yu. Hei Yu is the character played by Michael in the comic that I'm creating, called RP Comic. It's a comic based on Dungeons & Dragons games that I've DM'd over the years. Anyway, I wanted to talk about some of the struggles that I went through trying to draw this guy. But to be honest, there wasn't really a lot that I struggled with on this one. Usually I have some issues with design or poses, but this one came actually pretty easily to me, and it went by a lot smoother than I anticipated. The most difficult thing to deal with was just like the intricacies of all the little armor plates. The color palette, which you'll see later in the video, was pretty simple too, because I mostly just went with cool colors like blues and purples that complement his metallic-iness. To tell you a little bit about Hei Yu, I want to take you back to a writing that Michael submitted for the background of his character. It's titled Footprints in Stone. Dust rises from the stone between my toes. I've watched others stride across wood and rock. They pass over it like a bird through air, no trace that they've ever been there. My steps have always been different. Where I walk, the earth hugs my feet. Where I tread, the world itself remembers me. I remember my very first step that night so long ago, and the fall shortly after. I took my second step, and thus vanquished my first foe. It was only later that I learned that he threatened the entire city. Yet, it was still clearly a victory. It was in the same moment that I met my friend and mentor. He had come to slay the villain himself, but instead congratulated me on the deed. He taught me about life, love, and the nature of Bushido. He taught me how to cut with a bokken and inspired me to become a wandering samurai. After almost 3 whole hours together, he had to return to his home, to the plane of lust, with 2 lady friends that he had acquired. It wasn't easy living without my lifelong friend. Finally, just before dawn, I left the city to make my own way in the world. It wasn't long before my titles, appointed by those that learned of my deeds, like Orc's Bane, Wall Breaker, Ruiner of Stairs, Door Crusher, and more like that, had drawn challengers seeking single combat, sometimes several single combats at the same time. Some came with notes, with my picture on them, promising me rewards. I turned them down. Still, lacking my true purpose, I've begun my journey as all must begin. And the world will remember it with every step. I always love the way that Michael writes. It's so poetic. Anyway, so Hei Yu was taught to be a samurai by a tentacle monster from the plane of lust. I tried to limit my players in the amount of fetish crap that I allow in my games, but no one really needs to be subject to any of that without consent. But since his mentor was banished, I wasn't likely to reunite them in the main game. Maybe in a one-shot with just me and Michael, but be assured, none of that stuff is going to be present in the comic. If you want me to draw that stuff, it's going to cost extra. And it definitely isn't canon. Aside from that, Hei Yu is only 2 weeks old when it comes to the time that he starts interacting with the party. So it's going to be interesting to see this newborn interacting with the strange world of sword and sorcery. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this speed draw. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on all the social media platforms. And if you like what I do, please consider supporting my work at patreon.com/teamjesse. Links in the description. And as usual, thanks for being part of the team.